Hello, guys. Today I will retell a movie called The Heist of the Century. Fernando Araujo is already living a decent life, working as an artist and judo instructor. However, he is not satisfied and feels that he is still in search of his calling. One evening, returning home, he stops to smoke during a heavy rain. After finishing his cigarette, Fernando throws it away, and it slowly drifts and falls into a sewer near the Rio bank. Out of curiosity, he goes down into the sewer, and suddenly a crazy idea strikes him. The next day, Fernando meets with his friend, a construction engineer named Sebastian, and suggests to him the idea of robbing the bank. It turns out that Sebastian is experiencing financial difficulties, so he is not against this idea. But, according to his calculations, the plan would require machines, tools, and a lot of money. So, Fernando begins to look for a sponsor and meets another friend named Bauza. Unfortunately, the latter also lacks money, so he suggests that the hero turn to his friend, a thief named Mario. The scene shifts to Mario, who breaks into an office at night and carefully steals money from the safe. He does not even seem worried during this process, which indicates that such minor robberies are trivial for him. The next day, Fernando meets Mario in a cafe and explains his idea. The master thief, initially uninterested, is convinced by Fernando, who says that if they pull off the heist, he will never have to steal again. Then, Fernando takes him to the same place and lowers a tape measure into a sewer manhole right next to the bank. He also takes Mario with him into the sewer. After some calculations, the hero says that they are just 18 meters away from becoming millionaires. In the next scene, Fernando, Mario, and Bauza gather for further discussion of the robbery. They plan to dig a tunnel into the bank, but all the rooms inside are equipped with motion sensors. However, Fernando says that the sensors don't detect movement, they only detect changes in temperature. So, he made a suit out of a sleeping bag that could help them mask their body temperature. The only problem is that he doesn't know how to open the bank vault. Therefore, the next day, the group decides to conduct additional reconnaissance. Fernando photographs the bank's parking lot, located behind the building, before entering inside with Sebastian. The latter pretends to open an account while the hero photographs the lobby. Unfortunately, Fernando is soon spotted and detained by security. Fernando quickly tries to leave, but security detains him and escorts him to the basement for questioning. Surprisingly, all this was part of the plan. The heroes use this opportunity to closely observe the safe room. Meanwhile, security checks all his belongings, including the camera, but finds no evidence and reluctantly lets him go. Then it turns out that Fernando managed to extract the memory card from the camera. Later, he and Sebastian draw a floor plan of the bank, using photographs and their memory. Then Fernando develops a plan to infiltrate the bank from a small room. Next, they measure the distance between the manhole and the bank, counting the number of wheel turns on a bicycle. The next day, Fernando uses his knowledge of geometry to calculate the angle at which they should dig the tunnel to reach the bank. It also turns out that the money the group plans to steal is insured, so no one but the bank will suffer losses because of it. Later that same night, Fernando and the others go into the sewer and start digging the tunnel. The next day, they hire another guy named Alberto, who is supposed to take care of the getaway car. The group still has to find a way to open 400 lockers. Initially, they think of using a blowtorch, but it would take a minute and a half per box and 7 hours in total. So, Fernando suggests renting a locker and carefully studying it, but in another bank branch. The next day, Mario goes there and rents a bank locker. While it's being opened, he carefully watches the lock. Then Mario and his accomplice steal a van and wait for Alberto at his house. Soon the police arrive. The duo panics, thinking they are about to be arrested, but luckily, Alberto and his wife arrive and tell the officer that they are friends. The group continues to dig the tunnel, but one day there is an accident, and they break the drill. Fernando dismisses the incident and plans to buy a new drill, but this enrages Mario, who has already invested a lot of money in the project. Later in the evening, Fernando comes to his girlfriend, and they watch the stars together. They talk about how they are looking at the past of the stars, as it takes years for the light to reach Earth. We think they exist, but they are already gone. This unexpectedly inspires Fernando, and he immediately goes to Mario's house. The hero tells him that he has found a solution. He says that the bank is well protected when it is both open and closed, but the measures are different. The bank has good security measures to prevent cash theft, and good protocols to avoid a tunnel robbery. However, they have no measures to prevent both thefts at the same time. Fernando plans to enter the bank through the main entrance during working hours when the safe is open, thus avoiding the alarm and motion sensors. This will create the impression for the police that they are petty thieves hunting for small cash. The hero wants to make everyone believe that they plan to leave through the main door, so the police won't even suspect the tunnel. Hearing all this, Mario is thrilled and loves the idea. Then the scene shifts to the day of the robbery. Everyone applies glue to their fingers to hide their fingerprints. Sebastian is dropped off at the sewer, and he goes inside to do his business, while Fernando and the others enter the bank in disguised forms, wearing masks beforehand. Soon after that, Mario and Bauza go to the second floor, and Fernando and Alberto take the first. Simultaneously, they pull out weapons and order everyone to lie on the ground. A security guard watches what's happening from the surveillance room and immediately reports to the police. Then it turns out that Fernando is listening to the conversation on his radio. Mario orders the cashier to put the money in a bag, and Alberto goes to lock the parking gates. Eventually, the police appear outside, and seeing this, Fernando takes a civilian at gunpoint. Then he threatens to kill him if the police try to storm the bank. After that, Fernando returns inside and informs his accomplices that the first stage is completed. As soon as Mario hears this, he takes a woman at gunpoint and orders the security guard in the surveillance room to surrender. He reluctantly complies, and Mario takes his gun magazine and mobile phone, then lets him out onto the street. Then the group disables all the cameras in the bank. Fernando goes to the small room and moves the cabinet. On the other side, Sebastian breaks through the wall and enters the bank through the tunnel. Then they take equipment from the car, go to the vault, and start assembling the machine. In a flashback, it turns out that Sebastian built a machine that can break the lock in 7 seconds. Then everyone sets timers on their watches, and Sebastian and Fernando start cracking all the lockers. Meanwhile, the police, media, and relatives of the hostages gather outside the bank building. The police captain talks to the security guard and learns about the situation inside. While Fernando and Sebastian continue to crack the lockers, they suddenly hear the police climbing onto the roof. Mario receives a call from the captain on the security guard's phone, which he took earlier. Memories show that Fernando also prepared for this scenario, so he made Mario practice the art of negotiation. Returning to the present, he talks to the captain and orders him to remove everyone from the roof, threatening to kill civilians. The captain obeys, but secretly sends 2 snipers to the neighboring building. Then he asks Mario about his demands, and he responds that he wants to talk to the district attorney. The captain agrees to fulfill his demands and asks for 1 hour. Meanwhile, Fernando and Sebastian have already cracked many lockers, finding tons of cash, gold, and other precious jewelry. Outside, the police assess the situation. There are only 2 ways to get into the bank, through the main gates and from the parking lot. However, they know nothing about the whereabouts of the hostages. They also conclude that this is just an attempted robbery. After some time, the captain calls Mario again and asks him to surrender. He says that the robbers haven't hurt anyone yet, so they will get off with a light sentence. The captain also offers to find him a lawyer. In response, Mario says that he will discuss this with his accomplices. At this time, Fernando and Sebastian are cracking other lockers, and the police are helplessly waiting outside. Suddenly, an elderly hostage's phone starts ringing, and it turns out that it's her birthday today. Mario congratulates her, and Bauza takes a chocolate bar from another hostage and gives it to her. The snipers watch as they celebrate the woman's birthday and pass this information to the captain, surprising him. Meanwhile, Mario releases the old woman as a birthday gift. Then he leans against the window and tells the captain that he spent 15 years in prison and will only surrender if the district attorney assures him that he will get a light sentence. Hearing this, the captain orders the sniper not to shoot, and Mario steps away from the window. Then it turns out that he was actually checking to see if the police would shoot him. Soon the prosecutor arrives and talks to him. Surprisingly, he starts throwing insults at the prosecutor and refuses to talk to him. Then he demands to speak with his lawyer. However, when the captain asks for the lawyer's number, Mario gives him the hostage's phone number. Then he changes his voice and pretends to be the district attorney as his fake lawyer. Thus, he buys time for his friends, the robbers. Next, Mario hides all the hostages on the second floor, while Fernando and the others finally start moving the loot through the tunnel. Then Mario turns off his mobile phone, making the captain doubt that he is really serious about surrendering. At this moment, he notices the manhole and realizes that the robbers have found an alternative escape route. Meanwhile, having loaded the loot on the boat, Fernando leaves all the weapons in the vault for the police. In a flashback, it turns out that all the weapons were actually children's toys, because Fernando didn't want to harm civilians. Finally, Mario leaves the hostages on the second floor and joins Fernando in the small room. As soon as he does this, all the scared hostages take their phones and call their relatives. The captain also sends a squad into the sewer, and another breaks into the bank from the front. Fernando and Mario quickly remove all traces from the tunnel and join the others in the boat. Another flashback shows that Fernando also anticipated that the police would discover the sewer, so they had already built a dam to raise the water level, allowing them to go in the opposite direction on a motorboat. At this point, the captain reaches the small room and eventually the hole in the tunnel, where the entrance is blocked by a grenade. However, he soon learns that it, along with the weapons, is a fake. Unfortunately for the captain, it's already too late. The thieves have managed to escape. Meanwhile, Fernando and the group get away from the crime scene in their car and destroy all their equipment. Then they go to Alberto's house and divide the loot equally among themselves. Several months pass, and the group seems to be enjoying their best life. However, one day Alberto's wife catches him cheating. This makes her so angry that she reports him to the police, exposing him as one of the thieves involved in the bank robbery. As a result, all the thieves are arrested. The film fast-forwards 7 months into the future. Fernando is released from prison and is met by Mario in his luxury car. Then it turns out that Fernando also prepared for the scenario in which they were caught. He specifically suggested using toy weapons so as not to harm anyone and to get off with a light sentence. They also managed to save a significant portion of the stolen loot, since the bank did not keep track of the money and items stored in the safes. According to the bank's estimates, the lockers contain cash and valuables worth 25 million, but the police seized just over 1 million. Since there was no official record of the items in the lockers, the police could not bring a serious case against the criminals. Thank you for watching and see you soon.